any kind of modeling that we do to look towards the future, there's basically two types. There's statistical modeling, and then there's structural modeling. And if we have this picture of a system or a process or whatever, you've got inputs that now we've got all these activities and we create these results. And statistical modeling, statistical forecasting looks at results. It looks at data is all that it looks at. It treats the activities themselves as a black box. So we're very dependent on data. We're only looking at that. Sometimes we may be able to correlate to some input information, and so you're doing some of that. But the biggest thing is it treats the activities as a black box. It doesn't care what was done or how it was done. We just care about the data, and we're going to use that. Now, what's interesting is if you don't have data, you can't create a model. So statistical modeling is not good at understanding what happens in situations where we've never seen it before and we have no data. The other side is structural modeling, and that's what we do with scmBLOX. And structural modeling peels back the curtain on those activities, and that's what it builds. It builds all the cause and effect, causal relationships, and it looks at how these play out over time. So you actually don't need data. The model itself is completely independent of the data. Data helps you tailor the model and calibrate it, but you don't need data to build the model itself. Again, the focus is on the activities. And so when we kind of look at how these two play out over time, what you see is as you forecast, kind of moving left to right, this is, the time and some fictitious results. I've got past results, and here I am making a decision. You see the decision point. And the thing is I'm making a statistical forecast. Generally, any of the tools you use right now, ERP systems, SCMs, are using some sort of demand forecasting that's based on historical data and projecting that forward. That little window of time right there, the momentum of all the activities in the system really prevent much from changing right there. So what's most important is, as you play out over the long term, what are the differences? And I've shown an example here, which is based on real life. I've seen this personally. And when you're looking just at this little forecast window that's really short term, everything kind of looks okay, but long term, huge difference. One's going up, one's going down. And so this is where structural forecasting comes into play. So kind of pros and cons. If you look at statistical modeling, the pros of that are that it can be used for short term. Great, because the conditions really don't change that much in the short term. So in reality, almost any forecast methodology, it works. And it's already built into ERP and SCM tools. So, that's one of the good things. The cons, the bad things, are that it often requires, you need perfect data. And so you're scrubbing data, you're cleansing data, you may be even fudging data at times to make sure that it works. Statistical modeling is not good for the long term, especially when the conditions change and you have no data for that condition. And so you have no way to understand or build a model. And it doesn't include any of sort of the decision-making processes along the way. So if I see some value going up, as a manager, I may make some adjustments to correct that number. None of that is included because, again, statistical modeling treats all the activities as a black box, doesn't really care. Structural modeling, pros and cons for that. The pros are it does incorporate all those cause and effect activities and management feedback loops of how things are corrected. And it is better for long-term forecasts, more accurate than statistical modeling. Some of the cons are that it doesn't really, in the short term, doesn't really do anything different. So statistical, structural doesn't really matter. Statistical is just as good. And it's not included in any of the tools right now, which is how and why we created scmBLOX.